Hello everyone, welcome to the Nürburgring. It is a Ferrari Challenge here in the Eifel region of Germany. There we are, what a great shot this is of Nürburgring in the sunshine, which I have to say is the weather conditions that greet us this morning, and that's never a given here at the Nürburgring. It is round 6, as you can see. We've been to Mugello, to Balaton, to Jerez, to Portimao, to La Casale. Here we are, Nürburgring. And of course, and up next, we go to the Finale Mondiale event in Imola between the 16th and the 20th of October. This is an extraordinary circuit full of legend. We use the GP configuration, 5.148 kilometers, 15 turns, 6 of them are left, 9 of them are right-handers. And by far and away, for me, the most interesting parts of the circuit are through turn 1 and also the chicane, almost at the conclusion of the lap, which is turns 13 and 14. Track temperature currently is 19 degrees, the air temperature 17 degrees. There's no wind really to speak of, and as you can see, blue skies greet us here at the Nürburgring. That's never a given and isn't necessarily what we expect first thing in the morning, and the man alongside me, Nico Spalak, knows all about this region. He lives not far from here, and yeah, I think being blessed with great conditions today.
Yeah, absolutely. It's not a given, and there is just an image of the camaraderie here in this championship. And Motohiko Isozaki greeting his former compatriots in his class.
He was standing at the end of the pit lane at the end of their installation lap, and he was waving to absolutely every driver. A remarkable man, and as you say, remarkable camaraderie. So the Coppa Am season started off in Mugello with a packed grid of cars. One prominent new face was the Greek driver Zois Skrimpias, who had never raced before, but immediately showed his promise. At the opening race, Andreas Koenig eventually got the better of him, but on Sunday, Skrimpias notched his first win in his second ever race. Now at Balaton, Eric Chung made his mark with a famous victory, even overcoming a penalty to take the win. Skrimpias and Koenig continued their season-long battle in Jerez, with the Austrian fighting and defending his lead all the way to the checkered flag. From Portimao, however, Zois Skrimpias seized control, and he took 3 wins out of 4 races for the Reparto Corsa Ram team, a streak which included a nail-biter at the most recent round at La Casale.
The best weekend in my life, the best weekend. The car is fantastic, the track fantastic, Cheung, oh my goodness.
And here are the championship standings, with Zois Skrimpias on a very, very good lead at 139 points, being chased by Eric Chung on 93, Andreas Koenig on 71, and then Jan Sandman, new to the Ferrari Challenge here in Europe this year, in 4th place. The Coppa Am Drivers' Championship, and that is how it looks at the moment. With this race, another race tomorrow, and of course, 2 races to come at the Finale Mondiale event as well. So it's far from all over yet, but we just thought a little recap of where we are in terms of the championship and who had done what and where. Well, that gives you an indication of just how close it's been in Coppa Am. This is the grid that we will see a little bit later on. We were just putting that in there to tease you for good measure, you know, because that will come a little bit later when the cars are on their formation lap. That's a lovely sight. And Nico, I was saying, this is one of my favorite parts of this Nürburgring circuit. It is that chicane, where during the qualifying sessions yesterday we saw drivers take different lines through that. Some were really, really aggressive and throwing the car over the curbs. There were others that were altogether a little bit more accurate and cool and calm through there and not taking the curbs.
Yeah, absolutely. And we figured that in qualifying, the calm way was the right way. I think in the race, it's even more the case because the tires have to last for the entire half-hour duration. And
fair point.
You have to make sure that you keep it all together. And here are some of the very evocative liveries that we get in the Ferrari Challenge.
Yes. And that is perhaps the most evocative. I was saying to Tino, who you just saw in the picture there, that actually I think these shirts that some of the team members wear for Josef Schumacher really, we were saying during our qualifying programs yesterday, if you joined us for those, you would have heard the fact that, you know, the Ferrari Challenge 296 car is an extension of the driver's personalities, and no one indicates that better than Josef Schumacher. This is Dr. Stephen Earle, who drives the number 100 car. He's coached by Andrea Fausti, who I could see was there just having final words with him before his race commences. And spent some time with Andrea at breakfast this morning. And Dr. Stephen Earle is just a lovely, lovely gentleman. And there we can see inside the cockpit of the, I think that's the Zeus Scrimpias car. Now going to see as we come out whether I'm right or wrong. Whoa, that was sheer luck on my part. It is Zeus Scrimpias who once again put it on pole position, and as you will recall from the recap of the championship that we saw just a few moments ago, I mean, Zeus Scrimpias, when he made his debut in the Ferrari Challenge, had not raced before. Absolutely extraordinary success that he's had. Now, Mutlu Tazev for Emil Frey Racing did a very good job in qualifying. He goes from P4. I think it's one of his best qualifying performances we've seen from Mutlu. He has been on the podium this year. He took a P3 place, if memory serves me, at in Hungary at the Balaton circuit. So Mutlu Tazev in a very good position, I would suggest, to go for another podium today. Lisa Clark, who races not only here in Europe, but also in North America as well, and indeed is the reigning Coppa Am champion in North America. So Lisa Clark, who is a well-traveled racer and very, very good out there on track. And Lisa gives us a thumbs up. She's ready to go for the 30-minute plus one-lap race that awaits our Coppa Am drivers. And there you can see, just taking a look at what he's going to do, it's Eric Chung. Eric Chung then, I think it's fair to say, Nico, he didn't qualify as well as we expected for race one. He's P5. Really rather thought that he might be a little bit further up the order than that.
Yeah, absolutely. And we had two qualifyings yesterday, and in the second qualifying, Eric Chung was a lot more on it. He will be on the front row for the race tomorrow, but the first qualifying just didn't go his way, and it's such a close and competitive championship that traffic at some point which compromises your lap, just a tiny mistake can be the difference of 2 or 3 tenths, and that is 1 or 2 or maybe 3 rows on the grid.
Absolutely right. We were taking a look at Roland Hertner, and Roland had a very good qualifying as well. He goes from P3 for Go Motorsport Engstler, and there we can see the full grid of cars as we take a walk down the grid towards the front row. Now, lots of drivers out there on track, and each and every one of them are supported by a very competent team behind them as well.
If you have a good team, it feels like being under friends or with friends, and that's how it feels with HRT. We hang out together, we fight together. If it's not going that well, then we try to solve the issue, but it's really teamwork and super critical that it works.
The CIO of the company is basically Uli Fritz, and I have the pleasure to be responsible for the Ferrari project for HRT. Our sport is emotional, especially when you have a brand like Ferrari, which has such a big history in motorsport. I think has still huge fan base as well. I mean, we will see at the Nürburgring a lot of spectators, and so I think it's also good that you have this emotion, and sometimes you are crying, but it is part of our game, especially when you are running a brand like Ferrari.
Important, if not more important than the driver, because you need to have a team that actually takes whatever I feel on the track and turns it into the car so that it drives better for me. So it's a big difference.
great to meet the Go Motorsport team with Manuel Reuter and Andreas Koenig, just one of the drivers as the cars are released on their formation lap. We get ready to go racing Ferrari Challenge style. So race start then is just minutes away then here at the Nürburgring. There you can see the cars taking to turn number 1, which is almost a hairpin. You run downhill, there's a little bit of a bump going into it. I mean, you can take so many lines around that turn number 1. And we ride on board with Richard Mills' safety car. Looking back from, I think it's Sandro Montani driving the safety car now. Jan Sandman goes from the back of the pack, and that's because he's picked up some penalty points and taken a grid drop. P13 is Lisa Clark, P14 Louis Peruscuya. Then we find Dr. Stephen Earle, and alongside is Alvaro Ramos. They are P11 and P12. P9 for Andreas Koenig and P10 for Guy Favet. Keep an eye on Andreas Koenig, he'll be doing some overtaking. Andrea Levy is P8 and Talal Shayer goes from P7 on our grid for Coppa Shalam with Shintaro Akatsu P6 and Derek Chung going from P5 to the second row where we find Mutlu Tarzev and Roland Hertner. And then right at the front of the pack, what a quali from Josef Schumacher going from P2 and Zois Skrimpias goes from pole position. And only right and proper that we should hear from Zois Skrimpias right now.
Good morning from the summer Nürburgring. The strategy this time was different. Instead of waiting the track to get some rubber, we decided, seeing the weather, to go as soon as possible and to overtake as many cars as we can at the beginning, so we have a nice space in front. And then push as hell with the fog, with the slippery conditions, and it was amazing. Driving the fog with those conditions is first time in my life, as first time here in the track. So I really enjoyed it. Thank you guys. Hoping for a good race.
So that was Zois Skrimpias reflecting on his qualifying performance, which in fairness he alluded there. I mean, the weather conditions were really tricky for the drivers. It was foggy, it was damp, it was, it was tricky. And for someone like Zois, his first time at the Nürburgring, I mean, that's a big challenge.
Absolutely, and I think it just goes back to the team feature we had before. He effectively gives credit to the team. They advised him to go out as early as possible, and can't fault being in pole position. So all went the way, and now it's time for the race.
Indeed. So, of course, we were hearing from the Go Motorsport team in our Meet the Team feature. Zois Skrimpias driving for the Ineco Reparto Corsa Ram team, and he goes from pole position as the cars make their way through the chicane and heading up towards the final turn, which is turn 15 here. The safety car will peel off into the pit lane. That Richard Mills safety car does indeed indicate right, and it is the responsibility of Zois Skrimpias and Josef Schumacher to control the pace of the rolling start. Always a rolling start in the Ferrari Challenge. And this big grid of 15 of our Coppa Shalam drivers then ready to do battle over 30 minutes plus 1 lap. Hold on to everything. We are about to go racing. And we get the greens, and good start from Zois Skrimpias, and actually not a bad start looking from Roland Hertner's perspective as he's trying to get to the inside. Josef Schumacher trying to squeeze Zois Skrimpias, but look at Eric Chung. Oh, but he just makes contact with the back end of Zois Skrimpias, but he's able to go through. Meantime, having gone around is Shintaro Akatsu, I think, and having to take evasive action, Alvaro Ramos and Lisa Clark, who still managed to keep the cars pointing in the right direction, and they will continue unabated. Zois Skrimpias now, and what a start it was from Andreas Koenig, who's finding himself in P2 right now. And Andreas Koenig then is on the shirt tails, if you will, of Zois Skrimpias. He managed to get by Eric Chung in that melee through turn number 1. Mutlu Tarzev managed to hold on to his P4 place. But there you can see Zois Skrimpias is trying to stretch his legs as they run downhill now, and Andreas Koenig trying to keep with him.
Absolutely, yeah. It was almost bedlam here in turn 1. It was Zois Skrimpias who really defended against Josef Schumacher, had a good start. But you would have been able to turn in and get the switchback, but there were other cars like Eric Chung in the way, and that meant there was no chance for him. Also making good progress, Jan Sandman, as you said, from the back of the grid, already up into P6, so he one of the benefactors of that early incident.
And that's very sad to see. Shintaro Akatsu, I regret to say, it looks like he's probably out of the race. Here's Josef Schumacher then, trying to come back from that turn one incident, if you will. And Josef Schumacher, who's currently running in P8, I believe, trying to make his way back up the order as best he can. He'd done a fantastic job in qualifying, and unfortunately, as is so often the case here at the Nürburgring, turn number one is a real pinch point as we get a safety car. So the safety car has been called for. You can see that from the graphics at the top of the left-hand side of your screen. So safety car is called for. I suspect that is for the safe recovery of the Shintaro Akatsu car. So the cars will come under the guidance and control of the Richard Mille safety car. So Zeus Grimpias' advantage over Andreas Koenig, which had stretched to just under a second at the moment, is now really nullified. Big progress, as you can see on the left-hand side of your screen. Big progress for Andreas Koenig, up 7 places. For Jan Sandman, up 9 places. Big losers, Josef Schumacher and Roland Hurtner.
Yeah, Roland Hurtner was one of the cars which had been turned around at that early incident. I'm sure we will see a replay now that we have time, because obviously no overtaking under the safety car. So it all calms down, everybody's back bunched together, which helps those who have been dropped down the order. But obviously, they remain in their positions, and that includes Roland Hurtner.
You can see on the right-hand side of your picture the recovery of the Shintaro Akatsu car. So I don't think this is going to be a long safety car intervention. Let's take a look at what happened going into turn number one then. So initially, you could see that Zeus Grimpias got a really, really good start. But then, in the second phase almost of the start, that was when Josef Schumacher did a very, very good job. Alvaro Ramos doing some overtaking right at the start of the race as well. And here we can see him cross the start-finish line, and Shintaro Akatsu choosing to go to the outside. Look at Roland Hurtner, looking at the inside line here. Josef Schumacher and Zeus Grimpias. Eric Chung then, there was a little bit of contact from Roland Hurtner on the back of Josef Schumacher. A lot of cars having to take avoiding action. Shintaro Akatsu having gone around. Alvaro Ramos and Lisa Clark being called out by that as well. And as Nico quite rightly identified, a number of drivers took advantage of the melee. And one of those was definitely Jan Salmon, who made a huge progression in terms of places. So we can see there from the drone just how, I mean, turn one does afford you some opportunity to run a bit wide. There is runoff area there, but there's also gravel. And I want to put a big shout out to Lisa Clark there, who managed to keep it out of the, she just dipped a couple of wheels into the gravel as a consequence of having to try and find safety, but managed to keep the car going. You can see it from an onboard perspective with Guy Favet here. And Guy, one of those drivers that had to slow, be aware of what's going on around you, and he was. And you can see there to the left-hand side, Roland Hurtner rejoins right in front of the Guy Favet car, that onboard shot. So Guy Favet not involved in that at all, and was just, spatial awareness was very, very good. He could see what was going on. The safety car is going to come in at the conclusion of this lap. Lights go out on the safety car. So this is potentially the best opportunity that Andreas Koenig will have to try and get on terms with Zeus Grimpias, who historically has just disappeared up the road, Nico.
Well, but we saw in the replay earlier before the race of the season thus far, those two have had their battles, and Andreas Koenig has come out on top on 2 occasions, so it's going to be a very interesting one. Jan Salmon also is going to hope that he can continue his progress, and now we're ready racing.
So Eric Chung also is going to try and take advantage. Zeus Grimpias restarts really, really well and gaps Andreas Koenig. Andreas perhaps will try and carry a little bit more speed. He takes a look at the inside. So too does Eric Chung, but Zeus Grimpias controls turn number one really, really well. The top three breaking away a little bit from Mutlu Tarsev and then Talal Shayer. A big shout out to Talal running in P5, and Josef Schumacher continuing his progression as he gets past the car of Andrea Levy. So here is Zeus Grimpias, and then Andreas Koenig running P2, Eric Chung P3, then it is Mutlu Tarsev and Talal Shayer. Jan Sandman right from the back of the pack, having made his way up to P6. He will continue that overtaking trajectory, I have no doubt. But for the moment, Zeus Grimpias just needs to focus on everything that's ahead of him. He will be under pressure. He knows that Andreas Koenig is a very feisty racer. And of course, Andreas Koenig, living here in Germany, this is a local race for him. I know he has family here. And Zeus Grimpias running really wide there. through the hairpin. That just allows Andreas Koenig to get a little bit closer. Looks like, and to be fair, Zeus knew exactly what he was doing. The cars are gapped by about 2 car lengths between each of the P1, P2, P3 drivers currently.
Yeah, indeed. And thus far, after the safety car and the restart, no major shaking in the order. Jan Sandman still running in P6. Josef Schumacher really showed great pace also at the start, and we saw that in the replay again, how after being back by half a car length, he all of a sudden was ahead of Zoe Scrimpier. So the team certainly have set up the car very well, so he's going to hope that he will make further progression. But thus far, Stephen Earl steadfast in P7. There is Eric Chung having a little bit of a look, but not quite there to do something into the chicane. But he's certainly going to getting closer to Andreas Koenig, and that would potentially mean Andreas Koenig has to look into his rearview mirrors rather than ahead.
That's absolutely exactly, you've called it correctly. Andreas Koenig is not able to make an impression on Zoe Scrimpias, and the reason for that is he has got to keep an eye on everything that's going on behind him, and now the gap between P1 and P2 is 1.5 seconds as Eric Chung. He's looking at the inside line. I don't think it's quite close enough, so here's Zoe Scrimpias. Try and kiss the apex of turn number 1, run a bit wide. We go on board with his partner watching from the pit wall. That's our onboard shot from the pit wall of the Ineco Reporter Corsa Ram team. And, well, no surprise, he sets the fastest lap of the race so far at 2:04.468 for Zoe Scrimpias. The incident involving the cars of Shintaro Akatsu and Alvaro Ramos in turn number 1 is going to be under investigation from our race directors. We are being told, being fed that information as we speak. For the moment, the challenge from Eric Chung has gone away from Andreas Koenig. We took just a little look in the Go Motorsport garage there. They, of course, analysing all the data that's available to them on the screens. And, of course, Manuel Reuter, team boss, is on the radio, I would suggest, to Andreas Koenig as well. So, Scrimpias from Koenig from Chung, then it is Tarzev, Shire, and Jan Sandman. At the moment, I would say the closest battle is for the P2 place, although Eric Chung is not there quite yet.
Indeed, yeah, Josef Schumacher has just managed to get past Stephen Earl, and that means he's potentially on the heels of Jan Sandman, as we see that car number 150 receives a drive-through penalty, and that is for Alvaro Ramos, and that was for the incident that we already saw and discussed.
So Alvaro Ramos, then you'll see that their drive-through penalty notice will come up on your screen momentarily. We get fed that information as quickly as the information is made or the decision is made, as Eric Chung flashes his lights at Andreas Koenig as Zoe Scrimpias goes through. Andreas Koenig running a different livery on this car. Well, actually, it's not a different livery. It's the correct livery for that car, but it's different to his normal color scheme because he's in a spare car. As there you can see Manuel Reuter, center picture there, probably talking to Andreas Koenig as we speak. Gap from P1 to P2 was 2.774 seconds, and it's come down a little bit to 2.3 seconds. There you can see confirmation of that drive-through penalty for Alvaro Ramos, who is currently running in P13. But Zoe Scrimpias, for the moment, has not put a foot wrong. And it's down to Andreas Koenig and also to Eric Chung to try and get on terms with that race leader. But we have seen and mentioned this, that historically, once Zoe Scrimpias has got the clear tarmac ahead of him, which has been pretty much nearly every race this season, he just gets on with the job and gets up the road.
Yeah, absolutely, and he's doing that. Andreas Koenig's trying to stay with him, and there in the background you can see Josef Schumacher closing in slowly on Jan Sandman. Last time around, last lap, Josef Schumacher was a full second quicker than Jan Sandman, which may have had to do something with Sandman being stuck behind Shahir, but that is certainly a battle that is developing, and that is gonna rage over the next few minutes of this race with just under 20 minutes remaining.
You're absolutely right. This is the battle for P4 that's going on then as Talal Shahir around the hairpin runs a little bit wider. Jan Sandman then tries to get closer. Jan Sandman then, whose rearview screen is full, as Nico has said, of the Josef Schumacher car. Josef Schumacher trying to fight his way back up the order from his very, very good qualifying session. Good start. Position out in that instant right at the start there, turn number 1. So the Josef Schumacher car driving, of course, for the Eberlein Schumacher Racing Team. And there is Jan Sandman. New into the Ferrari Challenge here in Europe this season. First met him in the Winter Challenge that took place in the Abu Dhabi circuit. We could see his prowess then, and when it was announced he was going to compete the entire season in Europe, it filled us with joy, to be honest, because we could see the talent of the young driver. He's coached by Charlie Hollings, a UK-based driver coach and fine driver of his own standing as well. And they've formed quite a formidable partnership, it has to be said. And Jan Salmon being a race winner in his first season in the European Challenge as well, Nico.
Yes, indeed, absolutely. And as we said, tomorrow Jan Salmon will start the race from pole, but for the time being, he has to focus on what's going on alongside him, next to him. There is the 134 car of Talasha here, but behind them is Josef Schumacher. Really launched it up the inside, but Jan Salmon steadfast in defense. But as we said, this is a battle that is going to develop, and Jan Salmon ideally would like to get up the road and get past Talasha here and Mutlutasev, just to have some cushion behind him.
There is no question as Alvaro Ramos, and you can see as he takes his drive-through penalty by coming into the pit lane, and that will drop him right down to the back of the order. But this battle continues. Nico, you're right. Jan Salmon needs to get past the car of Talal Shire as quickly as he can, because Josef Schumacher is coming calling. There's no question about that. So this fight that is going on for P5, 6, and 7 being contested by Talal Shire, Jan Salmon, and Josef Schumacher, as Alvaro Ramos then returns back out onto the track. Overtaking opportunities around the Nürburgring are honestly plentiful. There are lots of places where you can make it work, but you've got to be pinch point perfect and have everything in the accuracy direction spot on. So we will see how Jan Salmon is able to just try and keep the pressure on Talal Shire. Now he's getting ever closer now. Is he going to go this time and have a go going into the hairpin? The chicane. As Andreas Koenig now sets the fastest lap. Well, Josef Schumacher looked like he was having a go going into the chicane, but he didn't make it work. But he carries a lot of speed into the final turn. Now, the exit of the chicane, you'll find this really spooky, but the exit of the chicane can set you up perfectly through turn 15, down the start-finish straight for a move going into turn number 1. Let's see who does what here. My money's on Josef Schumacher diving to the inside. Jan Salmon tries to protect that line. Talal Shire goes quite wide. Very good driving from Jan Salmon to avoid a collision there. He braked just when he needed to. Josef Schumacher almost taking advantage of that as they run through turns 2 and 3. There's Andreas Koenig. There's Eric Chung. And we will pick up on the battle, I'm sure, that's going on and continuing to go on between Talal Shire and Jan Salmon. There they are, center screen right now. And I think Josef Schumacher is being very clever here. And he's letting Jan Salmon do all the hard work, and he's just standing by ready to pick up the pieces, because Jan Salmon is clearly now frustrated at not having found a way past Talal Shire. And Josef is just thinking, yeah, I'm going to sit back here and let Jan do all the work and get ready to try and pounce. As whoa, that was a big sideways moment from Jan Salmon, and that's played nicely into the hands of Josef Schumacher. Oh, he was just not able to capitalize on that. It was a big save from Jan Salmon. Well done to hold on to that sliding car, and well done to not lose out there on a position which it so could have happened.
Yeah, absolutely. Just had just enough momentum, and then it's not a good overtaking opportunity through the Michael Schumacher S's, but it was almost there, almost gifted to Schumacher, but at the end of the day, Jan Salmon just kept it together nicely, but obviously that has put him somewhat out of the battle with Talal Shire, and he has to find the speed again and get up the road, but it looks like he's already closed the gap quite significantly again.
Right, let's see, as Josef Schumacher is utterly determined here. Through turn 15, then the final turn at the Nürburgring, and then down the long start-finish straight where you run downhill and go into turn number 1. There's Zois Skrimpias out on his own, leading by 2.4 seconds to the good of Andreas Koenig and Eric Chung. And there, the telemetry of the Zois Skrimpias car. You can see on the right-hand side of your screen. So Zois Skrimpias leading by 2.484 seconds over Andreas Koenig, Eric Chung. Then it's Mutlu Tasev, Talal Shire, Jan Salmon, and Josef Schumacher. So Skrimpias then doing what he has done so very competently during the course of his debut season, not only in the Ferrari Challenge, but debut season in motor racing as well. Absolutely phenomenal stuff. Fourth gear, 190 kilometers per hour before fifth, and then 227 before braking for that turn, as you can see. The telemetry of the brake, the throttle, and of course the gear selection, and also the speed that the drivers are able to deliver from these wonderful 296 Challenge cars. Skrimpias, Koenig, and Chung, the top three at the moment. That's the way it looks for the podium in 13 minutes plus 1 lap's time, if it all were to stay this way. I have to say, Zois Skrimpias has done what he has done previously. There's a little bit of debris out on the track. Drivers need to avoid that to avoid any tyre deflation issues as we go on board with the Ineco Report, of course, Ram team as well. And Zois then into the chicane. That's a nice drone shot. You can see he's being very aggressive across the curbs, certainly on the in of the chicane, really bouncing the car across the curbs and then through turn 15, the final turn. You can see where the track links up to the Nordschleife there as well. Of course, I said at the beginning of our program, this place is just absolutely full of history and heritage. And it's a track that the drivers love being at. For the moment, the big battle that was going on for P4, 5, and 6, well, it's kind of rested itself now. There is Jan Sandman, remains ahead of Josef Schumacher. Behind them is Stephen Earle, Andrea Levy, Guy Favre, Lisa Clark, Louis Perusquia. We ride on board with Guy Favre right now in the number 120 car, driving for Scuderia FMA and sitting in a very creditable P10 position at the moment, and bumped into him at dinner last night. Guy, long-time campaigner in the Ferrari Challenge, who will be thrilled with the 2025 calendar, which was announced at a glittering gala event on Thursday evening here at the Nürburgring, because next year he will enjoy a home race at Spa-Francorchamps.
Pretty much exactly in 1 year's time, and we get an 8-round calendar for next year, so that is new. You get more action from the Ferrari Challenge in 2025 than ever before, so we're really, really looking forward to that. But for the moment, we've got 11 minutes racing remaining in this race. So Skrimpias is firmly in control, Eric Chung a bit behind it. As you said, the Jan Sedman, Josef Schumacher fight is going on, but they've lost touch a little bit with Talal Shahir, who's, for the moment, able to rest a little bit easy.
Does a racing driver ever rest easy? I wonder. No, but you're right. He's got a good margin at the moment of comfort. Telemetry on the Guy Favre car as he's in fourth gear now. Accelerate hard. Throttle is being used to the max as he pushes it through the floor up to 230 kilometers per hour. You take that kink, absolutely full chat flat. You run what I call the back straight here behind the paddock before heavy braking, and that was a textbook way of perhaps not getting the best out of the chicane. Guy just carrying a little bit too much speed into the chicane. It has not mattered too much because Lisa Clark is sufficiently far enough behind where Guy had got a little bit of a comfort margin. So, here we can see Guy in the number 120 car then. And back to our race leader, Zois Skrimpias. Freudian slip there. 2:02.587 is the fastest lap. Now, the fastest lap is very important in a Ferrari Challenge race because not only does it give you the honor of knowing that you're the fastest driver out there, but you also gain a point, a championship point, if you set the fastest lap in the race. Zois has done a number of those over the course of the 2024 season, and now has stretched his legs to the tune of 3 seconds over Andreas Koenig and Eric Chung. And in fact, the top three are really very, very gapped. And that's also the case further down the pack as well, with Mutlu Tarzev and Talal Shahir and Jan Sandman and Josef Schumacher, where it was all so close. And now it's so spread out. If anything, I would suggest Talal Shahir is getting a little bit closer to Mutlu Tarzev.
Yeah, indeed. So it's, with 9 minutes remaining, this could heat up, and it's not for a podium position for the moment, but you never know what happens ahead of you. So you want to be in that P4 place, first of all, and P4 can become P3 and a visit to the podium fairly soon. And yeah, you can see, I mean, Jan Salmon has been able to get a little bit closer to Talal Shahir again, but it's still quite a little bit away from being able to launch any attacks.
Andreas Koenig launching his car through the chicane, and that's precisely what Mutlu Tazev does, and Talal Shahir right behind. So the gap between Mutlu Tazev and Talal Shahir last time around was about 7/10. Get a live gap now as they cross the timing line and see if Talal Shahir has been able to get a little bit closer to Mutlu Tazev, as we see Andreas Koenig running in P2 in the 104 car for Go Motorsport Alp Racing Team, taking a very wide line through turn number 1.
Yeah, last time around, Jan Sadman was the fastest driver out there, bar Eric Chung, who was marginally quicker, but that means he's caught up a little bit with Talal Shahir, and that can develop into something, potentially another overtake opportunity. You see sometimes that drivers push early, then they have to take back a little bit to preserve the tires, and then at the end they try and push once more and try to make the overtake that eluded them previously. So let's see if that's a strategy also for Jan Salmon and the team.
May well be the case, and it's actually visible now how much closer Jan Salmon is getting to Talal Shahir. Look at this, he's almost right on the gearbox of Talal Shahir now. So, whilst Talal was trying to attack Mutlu Tazev ahead, his mode of operation has had to go from attack to defend because Jan Salmon is right with him once again. And oh, a big slide from Jan Salmon there, who's clearly struggling a little bit for grip, and that has brought him into the clutches of Josef Schumacher, who is running P7 at the moment, but really rather fancies that P6 position that he's occupied by the 186 car of Jan Salmon at the moment. So Jan Salmon then, who in the perhaps in the early stages of the race where he was really trying to get on terms with Talal Shahir, may have taken a little bit more out of his tires, and perhaps Josef Schumacher is in a slightly stronger position in terms of the grip available to him. As we see the Talal Shahir car through the chicane, and he too once again tries to get a bit closer to Mutlu Tazev. Under braking for turn 15, you can see how Jan Salmon is really able to get to Talal Shahir. Now this might be Jan's best opportunity if he can get closer to Talal Shahir going into turn number 1. Let's see them coming down the hill now. Now, Talal Shahir protects the inside line initially. Josef Schumacher trying to get on terms with Jan Salmon as well, as we see them out of the turn. And still, Jan Salmon has been denied, but he's in this really difficult position of hunting and being hunted at the same time, and he's having to attack and defend as Andrea Levy tries to find his way past Dr. Stephen Earle here through the sequence of turns 2, 3, and 4. So Stephen Earle running P8, Andrea Levy running P9, and flashing his lights, trying to break the concentration of Stephen Earle, just to provoke a small mistake which would be enough to allow Andrea Levy to go through. Well, at the moment, no such doing, but these are very close, these two drivers. And Stephen Earle then, who comes from Texas in the USA, races in the Ferrari Challenge in Europe and absolutely loves it, racing for the Kessel team, as he runs just a bit wide. Now, that may well have been as a result of the pressure that Andrea Levy is mounting on him. So too the pressure on Jan Salmon, because Josef Schumacher is almost welded to the back of the Jan Salmon car. That's also the case for Andrea Levy and Dr. Stephen Earle here. Stephen really having to defend now and metaphorically stick his elbows out to prevent Andrea Levy. Now this big run down the back straight is going to be very interesting.
Yeah,
and here he comes, dives to the inside, Andrea Levy, but he carries a little bit too much speed, and that was very good driving from Stephen Earle, who could just sense that Andrea had perhaps overcooked it going into the chicane and was able to wrestle the position and switch it back.
Absolutely. In the meantime, we can see that Eric Chung has dropped one place, and he lost around 5 seconds in this little sector, so there must have been something that went amiss for him. He's picked up the pace again in the final sector, so it doesn't look like there is a permanent issue, but maybe he's missed his braking point somewhere, had a little bit of an off. I'm sure our colleagues in the OB van are frantically looking to find that scene for you, but in any event, there is a change in position, but here is, for the moment, the change in position which we saw through the chicane. Well, it was a very momentary change of position because Dr. Stephen Earle got back ahead.
Cool, calm and collected there, wasn't he? You know, he could sense that Andrea Levy was carrying too much speed. And there, going around, was the Louis Peruskia car. So in replay here, that's where it went wrong for Eric Chung. Just carried a little bit too much speed, lost the back end of the car, thanks to the team for getting that replay to us. And that's where Mutlutazev was able to take advantage on Eric Chung. Now, if this man does win this race, by our calculations, he becomes champion. So that being fed to me from our team in the truck. So Zois Grimpias in that P1 position at the moment with a lot at stake in the remaining 2.5 minutes plus 1 lap of this race. It's Zois Grimpias from Andreas Koenig. Now Mutlutazev running in P3. Mutlutazev running P3 at the moment would give him another podium, and he would be delighted with that. He was able to get by Eric Chung. And then it is Tal Alsher and Jan Salmon and Josef Schumacher who are in the remaining places. So Zois Grimpias runs across the timing line then. And there you can see as we throw to Zois's partner, you can see on the pit wall there, Germano Toniella, herself a former Ferrari Challenge racer. I don't think I'm giving anything away. And here we can see the live championship points. If Zois Grimpias wins, then he'd be on 156 points, whereas Eric Chung would be on 102. Therefore, Zois Grimpias' charge to the championship would be complete. And those that have been chasing, and Eric Chung, the biggest chaser of those, would not have enough points available to him to take that championship away from Zois Grimpias. So thanks for that live championship update in terms of the points. Now, the story I was telling is that I believe that initially in the Ferrari Challenge this year, the idea between Zois Grimpias and Germano Toniella was that they would perhaps share the car and share racing. However, Zois has done such a good job that once his prowess had been shown, there was no question that he'd got to stay in that car. So it's getting much, much closer now in the final stages of this race between Mutlutazev and Eric Chung. Can Mutlutazev hold on and make it his second podium of the season? Or is Eric Chung going to try and find a way by? Josef Schumacher also would love to get by Jan Sandman. Jan Sandman currently running in that P6 position. Eric Chung then really hounding Mutlutazev now, but he knows that the grip available to him, some parts of the circuit, is questionable. We saw him go round, that's why he lost out on that P3 place. He doesn't want to lose out again if he is able to make the overtake. So Eric Chung then dives to the outside, going towards the chicane, then switches back to the inside, carries a lot of speed, too much speed. Mutlutazev does go through, but Eric Chung, well, he shortcutted the chicane. Oh, and Mutlutazev has gone around. I was immediately going to say Eric Chung is going to have to give that position back, but Mutlutazev has gone around, and that's really disadvantageous for Eric Chung. It really saves him because he's able, presumably, to hold on to that P3 place. That puts Tal Alsher into P4, Jan Sandman P5, Josef Schumacher P6. This is how it happened then. So he came from a long way back. Then it was a really bold, ambitious switch. But Eric Chung carried too much speed. He shortcutted the chicane. And I just wonder whether there was a little bit of contact between Eric and Mutlu going into that when Eric decided to switch back that position. But for Mutlutazev, what a great shame. He'd done a really, really good job. However, Zois Grimpias has done the best job of the lot. No question, he's built a margin of 5.857 seconds. Now, we talk a lot in the Ferrari Challenge about young drivers making their name in the Ferrari Challenge in their aspirations from a motor racing career. We also see that with slightly older drivers as well, and Zeus won't be offended by my saying that he's come to motor racing perhaps later in life than some of the young talents we see in the Ferrari Challenge. But my goodness me, it really reinforces the fact that this 296 Challenge car is utter joy to drive. Once you've got the sweet spot of this car, it delivers for you. It's delivered for Zeus Grimpias over the course of this 2024 season as he runs down the back straight behind the paddock here. He's got the chicane in front of him right now. Through the chicane, absolutely pinch point perfect. Every centimetre of tarmac used to perfection from Zeus Grimpias. Rounds turn 15. Cool, calm, collected, accelerates once again and starts his final lap of this Ferrari Challenge Coppa race. We're live from the Nürburgring. And Zeus Grimpias then has got a sequence of 15 turns. Make that 14 now because he's gone through turn number 1. And that's disaster, I think. That's Talal Scher that's dropped right down the order. Josef Schumacher and Andrea Levy go into battle going into turn number 1. Josef Schumacher with the optimum line. Andrea Levy, is he going to lose out to Josef Schumacher? It's not Josef Schumacher. It is, of course, Dr. Stephen Earl right behind Andrea Levy because Josef Schumacher is this car right ahead of those two. And that plays into the hands a little bit of Josef Schumacher, who's able to just focus on what he's doing and not worry about what's going on behind them. Jan Sandman has left Josef Schumacher significantly now and has found the pace and the grip right in the final stages of this race. It's going to be a P4 if everything stays this way for Jan Salmon. For Josef Schumacher, it would be P5. For Andrea Levy, P6, and then Stephen Earl with a P7. But Zeus Grimpias then has done a fantastic job, and he's just replayed what he's done so many times in the past, as we saw in our sort of season recap right at the start of our program. He has been an absolute star. There is his partner, Germana, looking on as we split the screen and bring you the live emotions, I would suggest. And at the moment, just looking at the data and thinking, yep, carry on.
Not the moment for rejoicing yet, but it's only a few more moments away, barring very, very unexpected disaster. There is Andreas Koenig, he's closing in again, but obviously Zeus Grimpias is really controlling this and not pushing too much. And with the yellow flag, no overtaking in the chicane anyway, and here is the final turn.
Zeus Grimpias, he's already got his arm out of the window of his 296 Challenge car as he heads towards the line. I'll tell you what, Andreas Koenig getting ever closer to him, but Zeus Grimpias not only seals the win, but seals the 2024 Coppa Shell Am Championship. He finishes the race ahead of Andreas Koenig, Eric Chung, Jan Sandman. Josef Schumacher crosses the line ahead of Andrea Levy, and then Stephen Earl and Guy Favre with a great finish. Talal Scher, Lisa Clark, Louis Peruskia will be the next to cross the line. But it's all about Zeus Grimpias then, who has achieved it. Team Radio and Germana Toniella speaking to her partner right now to say, congratulations, you haven't got to do the washing up tonight. I'll do it for you. He is the champion for Coppa Shell Am. What a season it has been for Zeus Grimpias. Absolutely fantastic. Giorgio Sennaciotto, team boss of the Ineco Rapata Corsa Ram team. It was a really, I mean, such a, at the start of the season, new driver, new team, so many things to overcome. And, you know, the team driver combo has been absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, heads off, congratulations to Zeus Grimpias, the man from Lefgada in Greece. Really made his mark on this season and didn't have all his own way. It didn't come easy all the time, but he mastered everything that was thrown at him, and really good driving. And there you can see great respect among the drivers. And great respect also to our other competitors here. Let's not forget Andreas Koenig with a great move up the order, Jan Sandman as well. Josef Schumacher, unlucky at the beginning, but fought and crawled his way all the way to P5. And also Andrea Levy started way down the order and remained fairly down the order for the longest time. But then at the end, he made it up the order to P6. So a lot of great performances up and down the field.
And I have to say, you were talking about Zoe Skrimpias there. He hasn't had it all his own way, and he's made mistakes, as you would expect of a rookie driver. Let's not lose sight of that fact. What has really impressed me about Zois is the fact that he's humble, and he says that without the team, he would not have been able to do this. He really credits them for the success that he has enjoyed, and that's always good to see. As he takes the win, Andreas Koenig P2, Eric Chung P3, Jan Salmon, Josef Schumacher, Andrea Levy P4, 5 and 6, ahead of Stephen Earle and Guy Favre. Then they occupy the top 8 positions of our Coppa Shell Am Race 1 here at the Nürburgring. And they are followed by Talal Sher, who manages to bank P9 in the end. And we'll see the second page of the classification in just a moment. There it is, Talal Sher, Lisa Clark, Louis Peruskia, Alvaro Ramos, Mutlu Tazev, and then regrettably, NCs for Roland Hurtner and Shintaro Akatsu. So the emotions will be big and strong then, as you can see Zoe Skrimpias weaving the car as if tyre warming as he comes down the pit lane then to be received by the team, who will be absolutely thrilled. And honestly, Nico, that's the impression I have of Zoe. He's really, really thankful to everyone that has given him this opportunity to do what he can really, really prove.
Yeah, definitely, to the point where he seems to sometimes diminish his own achievements by overplaying that of the team. The team is a great part of it, but he's done it. He's done it, and he has balanced the car, not to perfection, as you said, but pretty close.
You're absolutely right. There he is. Congratulations all around the family there to support him. And there is Andreas Koenig. He too thanking his team for what they have done, and shakes his head as if to say, do you know what, I gave it everything I could, everybody. And there the celebrations continue. You can see Giorgio Sonagiotto there with the glasses on. He is the team boss, and of course Giorgio is a fine racer himself. He's been able to pass on so much to Zoe Skrimpias, who, to be fair, has been something of a sponge in terms of being able to absorb everything that he needs to, that has made him the champion, which is... Oh, and look at the camaraderie between the drivers in the Ferrari Challenge, I have to say, is it's truly epic. And Andreas Koenig, and also look at that, Le Mans winner and DTM champion Manuel Reuter offering his congratulations as well, and he's from an opposing team. That's just the spirit of the Ferrari Challenge. So we will be hearing from Zoe Skrimpias, who's never short of a word, it has to be said. And we'll be hearing from him in just a couple of moments' time. Ludovica will be down there, and she will get the best out of our champion, Zoe Skrimpias.
Zois, congratulations, another incredible result for you from P1 to win here on a historical track.
Yes, it's a lovely feeling. We are at the end of the season, and still I can't believe it what we achieved with the team. Those good results. I'm super happy. The car as always was super, and I love that Andrea was in my back. Super. I'm happy for him.
Zois, I have a very big news for you, because from TV tell me that you are a champion of Coppa Shell. Yeah.
Wow! Yes! Yes! I'm not calculating points, but wow! That's great. Thank you. Thank you. Yepa. Guys, we are the champions.
I don't believe he didn't know.
Wow, I mean, that is live TV gold. That's TV gold for you.
Wonderful.
From the Ferrari Challenge. Zoe Skrimpias, well done. He delivers in every shape and form.
Oh. So there, the 168 car of Zoe Skrimpias, who I can confirm is the champion. Coppa race 1 then, and what a race right at the very start as the cars headed down towards turn number 1. Roland Hörtner taking a look at the outside, Josef Schumacher taking a look at the inside, but keeping cool while all about were perhaps losing their heads a little was Zoe Skrimpias. From the onboard shot of Guy Favre, you could see that unfortunately, having gone around was the car of Shintaro Akatsu. Roland Hörtner would also have to retire as well. So Zoe Skrimpias then doing what he's done so many times in the past, and that's just making his way up the road. Initially chased by this man, Andreas Koenig, in car number 104. Eric Chung was not far behind, running in P3 either. A great race was definitely in prospect. Unfortunately, it was going the wrong way for Louis Perusquia, who lost the back end of the car, his Rosso Corsa car, and then Eric Chung would lose his as well. And crucially for Eric Chung, it was a potential podium place, a loss there as Mutlutazev was able to take advantage and go past the car of Eric Chung. Bold move by Andrea Levy didn't pay off as he tried to get past Dr. Stephen Earle in the number 100 car, and Eric Chung then trying to wrestle away his podium place back again and to shortcut, and unfortunately Mutlutazev there we could see was in strife, and that actually would gift the final podium place to Eric Chung. But Zoe Skrimpias was the winner, and not only the winner of the race, he became the Coppa champion too. What a star. Zoe Skrimpias then, and at this point, he didn't know he was champion. Zoe Skrimpias, driver of car number 168, here at the Nürburgring. And the sight of the Nürburgring Castle behind us there. I'm still breathtaken by the fact that Ludovica passed on the news to Zoe Skrimpias. We'll be going to the podium next. Michele Mambelli will be up there ready to bring the drivers out on the podium. We will be seeing Eric Chung, Andreas Koenig and Zoe Skrimpias. Here comes Eric Chung then. Yet another podium for the brilliant Ferrari Challenge Coppa driver. Andreas Koenig then for Go Motorsport Half Racing Team takes P2. Zoe Skrimpias then race winner and champion, as well as Michele Mambelli with a great advert for throat lozenges, I would suggest, as he brings Zoe Skrimpias onto the podium. Well, when you win races, it's always emotional, but to win at the Nürburgring is something very, very special. And of course, the Nico Ricciardo Corsa Ram team are represented up there on the podium as well.
The trophy for the third driver, Eric Chung.
My buddy Tony Verlander, who shares on-air duties with me on many occasions, the Ferrari ambassador driver, making the trophy presentation to Eric Chung. Up next, Andreas Koenig will receive his trophy. Now, Zoe Skrimpias will receive the race winner's trophy. Of course, the big championship deal will be done at the Finale Mondiale event. Unbelievable. Not only does he win that race, he wins the championship in his first season of racing. So Skrimpias, well done to you. And well done to the team as well, who also received the Coppa Team trophy. And Tony Verlander then making the trophy presentations. Great guy, great driver as well. And right, everyone up there on the podium for the photographs with the trophies and big smiles all round. Ferrari Challenge delivering in Coppa fine style in the sunshine here at the Nürburgring. Zoe Skrimpias will be first with the champagne, I'm sure. The celebrations. Andreas Koenig gets an eyeful. And Zoe Skrimpias decides to distribute his baseball cap to the team. Here, the top three then. Formula Racing, Eric Chung takes P3. Go Motorsport House Racing Team. We met the team earlier on in our program, and Andreas Koenig delivered a P2 for them. And then for Nico Rapada Corsa Ram team, Zoe Skrimpias in his debut season becomes Coppa Shell Am champion by taking the win. Zoe Skrimpias is our Coppa Shell Am champion. So let's take a look at the Drivers' Championship then. Zoe Skrimpias on 139 points, which means he's 46 ahead of Eric Chung. Then it's Andreas Koenig, Jan Sandman, Andrea Levy, Shintaro Akatsu, Paolo Scudieri, and Roland Hertner. They occupy the top 8 positions in the Coppa Shell Am Drivers' Championship. Zoe Skrimpias's lead is unassailable. Mutlu Tarzev, Stephen Earle, Henrik Kamstrup, Guy Fave, Talal Shayer, Hassan Dabusi, who sadly is missing this weekend. Then it's Alvaro Ramos ahead of Louis Periscua, Lisa Clark, Josef Schumacher, Giuseppe Romelli, Max Hervé, George, Maurizio Pittori, and Frank Kevitz. So there we have it then, the Coppa Shell Am Race 1 done and dusted from the Nürburgring. Please, though, stick around because a lot more racing action to come from our Coppa Shell and 488 drivers, and also from Trofeo Pirelli and Trofeo Pirelli Am as well. From Nico and myself, thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye for now from the Nürburgring.